All right. This is Professor Anna
Radominska-Pandya.
Yes, who is an expert. She is a professor at the University of Arkansas, and one of her expertises is in the area of synthetic cannabinoids. Well, indeed, in cannabis altogether. But what we're going to talk about is the effects of synthetic cannabinoids. And I'm Chris Busby. You've seen me before, and we're going to talk about cannabis because it seems to me that there's a serious problem here which she's raised, which she's now going to just briefly tell me about using her presentation.
So this is presentation from last year in the same conference, and this is comparison of natural and synthetic cannabinoids, and I call it the good, the bad, and the tragic, because it's a really tragic story. So I will briefly tell you about the history of cannabinoids, which were the THC, the natural one, was discovered in 1964 in Hebrew University, and people were looking for the mechanism, and they discovered that the cannabinoids are working via cannabinoids receptor. Later on, two of those, CB1 and CB2, were found, identified, cloned. Now we have crystal structure. So the word of cannabinoid comes from marijuana, from cannabis sativa, a plant which is producing close to 40 different cannabinoids, natural cannabinoids, with the main psychoactive constituent being THC. And there's a lot of other compounds, but I would like to emphasize the effects of the psychoactive compound THC, which is causing euphoria, altered perceptions, short-term memory impairment, decreased capacity to complex tasks, balance and stability of stance effect. There's some problems, cardiovascular problems like increased heart rate and red eye. All those symptoms are relatively simple.
What is munchies?
What?
Yeah.
Munchies? Oh, everybody who smokes marijuana takes marijuana has to eat, like within 1 hour. Eat.
Okay.
A big amount of food and then falls to sleep. But those people are not getting fat, so this is munchies.
Okay.
You smoke, you are happy, and you are hungry.
Right.
But all those effects are relatively short. And now there's extremely hot a topic of the finding of new therapeutic opportunities from marijuana plants, and as you can see, we can cure cancer, we can protect against Alzheimer, we can protect destruction of bones, but very important is anti-proliferating activity. So there's a lot of actions, and right now, one after the other, the compounds are isolated and used for as a medical, like a medicine. There's a lot of another cannabinoids, and in addition to endogenous and native, we have also a class of a synthetic cannabinoid receptor agonist. And I would like to pay your attention to this group of compounds. I will show the structure in a moment. They are amino-alkyl indoles. They are one of the most dangerous compounds available on the market for entertainment and abuse.
When did they turn up on the market?
We are just coming to this.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of father of the synthetic cannabinoids. that call them the face of legal high, and they show on the market very recently, in 2010, in October. And this gentleman, who in this time was 49 years old, Scottish, and was former drug addict, began the whole K2 story. Now we know that they are substance of abuse, and this person, together with pharmacologists in Purdue, began so-called abuse science. However, the major point of the story is the multi-dollar revenue. And you can see here in this place, like from 2005 to 2010, the production of synthetic cannabinoids were identified in European Union, and their production was very small.
This guy's a chemist, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
they were chemists, but they did it for money.
Yes.
That's the major story. But as you can see here, in 2010, when those gentlemen used the knowledge about cannabinoid receptors and started synthesizing new forms, the production grew and the danger became extremely bad. So what is K2? K2 actually is the peak in Himalaya, and it's one of the most dangerous mountains to climb. As you can see, 1 out of 4 people die while ascending the K2. And that's the same story with people who use it and have genetic defects. 4 out of the people, 1 in 4 die using K2.
So at one point I was going to ask you, what do they die of?
We will come
We'll
to
come
this
to
in
that.
a moment.
Okay.
And this is how the compounds are sold. You can see they are synthesized in a lab. They are not plant like THC, but they are sprayed on any biological material. They are not marijuana, and they are sold in small packages. So they have other flash names like spice, synthetic legal marijuana. And here we have the structures. When we compare the THC and then the first compound which was synthesized and put on the market, a JWH-018, they are structurally pretty different. The major story is they have this side chain.
Yeah.
However, they are good enough for cannabinoid receptors to be recognized as the antagonist. And once more, those 2 specific compounds were synthesized in 1992, and the researchers started using this for controlling obesity in mice. That was the first application. That was the very safe application until the 2010, when they were put on the market for entertainment. And they were, like in 2004, sold on internet, in head shop, very cheaply. People were instructed how to use, or were just offer a space in cannabinoid houses to use them. So what do they do? And this is not exaggeration. I've seen those people in hospital. So the small effects are anxiety, panic attacks, extreme agitation, hallucination, seizures. Then, in time, there's memory and learning problem. People totally lost sense of judgment, very dangerous driving, and the effects are causing immunosuppression. And then we are getting into serious problem, fatalities, which can be stroke, heart attacks, hypertension. So
this is this when they're taking the drug, or afterwards, or long afterwards, or
no, immediately.
These
Yes,
effects we're talking about, these are immediate effects.
They are immediate effects.
So in some people who take these drugs, they're okay, and they don't suffer this, but in a proportion of them,
they suffer to a small amount,
right?
And it also depends on how much, whether they ate before, a lot of circumstances. But they are the genetic mutants who respond in a very, very dramatic
And these are the
way.
ones who have different way of metabolizing the material.
Yes, then we will come to this, but I will go pretty quickly. So here we have metabolism, and I would like to show you why those compounds are so dangerous. When we have, for example, THC, the natural marijuana, it doesn't need any metabolism, additional metabolism. It has carboxylic function, is glucuronidated, sugar is put on it. In the morning, the person feels okay. Excreted, zero.
Right.
It stays in the body, but no effect. K2s are first of all processed by cytochromes P450 to oxidize derivatives, and then to conjugated compounds like glucuronide and sulfates. But the worst part is that all native, hydroxylated and conjugated are ligands for for cannabinoid receptors.
Right.
So the process goes for days because it takes time to make hydroxylates, that makes glucuronide, and each one with different affinity attacks the cannabinoid receptor. Structure. I don't know whether we are interested, but
No, I'm interested in the structure.
I knew that you are interested. That's why I'm showing you what happens. JWH018 is one compound which has idle moiety, alkyl side chain, and then naphthalene. So one smokes and takes this compound, one compound. What happens? Then we have cytochromes P450, which work here, put hydroxyl group here, 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 and here. So all of a sudden, only with modification of this side chain, we have 4 compounds.
Yes.
Then, what happens next? We have this chain. So another cytochromes P450 put hydroxyl group and cut 1 carbon and put carbon. So we have already 6 compounds from one, like within few hours, and all of them move to the cannabinoid receptor.
Has anyone worked out the affinity of these different metabolites?
Yes, sure. We published 26 papers, and all of this is there. So we have one compound, only one cytochrome P450 can cause 6, only metabolizing this and this. But we didn't even look for those naphtha. They are additional stories. So how did we discover this? What we can, how we can say what is produced in human body? This is analysis MS, mass spectrometry analysis of all the oxidized forms of one compound. And you can see those are beautiful spectra, great separation, starting from the small one, because the small one, the first one disappears. Those are the original one. And then we have all those 6 metabolites.
Yes.
And with M4, the dominating, because there's cytochrome P450 which makes it. And here is the story. If we don't have those cytochrome P450, we stick to those compounds and they cannot be metabolized. So they stay in our body. So this is glucuronidation reaction, UDP glucuronic acid, sugar. When the cytochromes P450 work, put the hydroxyl function, then UGTs attach sugar to the compound. So we have another set of compounds which also bind to cannabinoid receptor. We have 20 human UGTs, UDP glucuron transferases. Majority of them produce the derivatives, and the process happens in intestine and also in, first of all, liver, but also intestine, and also brain, because those compounds move to brain.
Well, of course, they're all highly liposoluble, and that seems to be what they have in common. But now we can talk, can we, about what happens to the people who take this stuff, okay?
Okay, so here I have what happened to the people.
Well, we can just talk about this now, because I don't want to take too
So
long about
what
this.
happened to the people? Everybody has a different genetic makeup.
Right.
And we have approximately 50 cytochromes P450 in humans, with several dominating, expressed in about all over the body, and then the phase 2. And each of these proteins can have polymorphic forms.
But listen, hold on. We're talking now. You're talking now about the chemistry, the biochemistry, the metabolism, this sort of thing. What I'm more interested in now is what you were telling me about the very dangerous effects, which you told me were due to some sort of long-term destruction of the cannabinoid receptors. This is what you believe is happening.
Yes, but it needs this small introduction, which I'm putting right now.
All right,
that
sorry.
there are enzymes which can clear those compounds from our body.
Okay.
And this is what happens to marijuana.
Yeah.
But this enzyme, cytochrome P450, 2C9, which is extremely polymorphic, and this is the major player in our body which helps to clean the matter.
Yes, that's
and
right.
there's people who have this genetic defect. Therefore, they cannot process those compounds.
Right.
So what happens? We cannot excrete it from the body.
Right.
So they are moving in plasma all the time, getting to cannabinoid receptor, bind with very high affinity, and they are not displaceable. They stay over there.
Right.
But from my lecture, you know how many important function the cannabinoid receptor has.
Yes.
So all those functions are disrupted. We cannot live in a normal way. We cannot do metabolism of lipids, because these dangerous compounds block the receptor, and blocks with such potency that we cannot replace it.
So these people manifest some kind of clinical symptoms of madness?
That's what I show. Yes, because their cannabinoid receptors do not function. And then they anxiety, madness, aggressiveness, self-destruction.
Yes.
And some of them are even chained to the bed.
You've seen that?
Yes, I've seen it in the pictures in the hospital. They, like, for weeks, as long as they can stand.
And what do the psychiatrists and in the hospitals make of all of this at the moment?
They are confused, because this is very good that we have this incredible team in my university. We can, in children's hospital, tell this person was on K2. Sometimes the person say, but they are bringing even children.
And you could in principle diagnose such a person
By MS, taking a
by
little bit of
GCMS from the urine sample.
This is what we do, and we have special kit
Yes.
which we just can send to hospital, and then doctors know. But knowing and helping, helping, they're two different things.
You think it's not possible to deal with that? You think that this is almost? I think you said to me that there's nothing you can do
For the people who has this genetic effect.
Yes.
But it's not entirely true that we cannot help them. We cannot help them right now. But with the money which we got,
Yes.
we are working on finding specific agonists which can kick those compounds.
Well, in fact, maybe marijuana itself would kick that
That's
stuff out,
a very
wouldn't
good
it?
question, point. You said this before, and there is some indication that marijuana users or people who use marijuana in the same time as K2 are safe. Not totally,
No.
but those two compounds at least
But
compete.
it clears
It
enough.
clears.
It clears enough receptors for them to function normally.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're looking into following thing. We're looking for antagonists which will fight those compounds, kick them out.
Well, displace. You mean?
Displace them.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and in the same time, we will produce new, fresh cannabinoid receptor. We're also looking for antibody. This is extremely important. For example, people who commit suicide taking Tylenol, we have in our university a specific antibody, and even people who took 50 grams of Tylenol can be saved because of antibody has
Right,
So we
right.
are looking for option of
Right.
antibody. But this is a very long process. First of all, the doctor has to recognize that the person is not just
Schizophrenic.
schizophrenic or
Whatever.
anxiety,
Yeah, yes.
that it has serious problem.
Yes.
Recognize, and it helps our kit, which shows in the urine, drop of urine,
Yeah.
half an hour later we go to the doctor and say, this is K2 case.
But what you were telling me, if you think that in some way the receptors themselves are destroyed by some sort of covalent conversion or some long-term effect, because you were saying, well, maybe I should ask you, that the half-life of these K2 derivative, these substances, is not endless, is it?
Yes, but if you extend the half-life
Yes.
to metabolites which are produced...
But even then, it
in
wouldn't
the
be more than like 6
70
months or something like that,
no,
would it?
72 hours.
Yes, right.
It can be processed.
So I mean, so in principle, I mean, all of this stuff will have left the person after, well, say 140 hours, okay? But what you're saying is no. You're saying there's some...
But not the one who has deficiency.
The one who has
the
a
mutant,
deficiency, yes,
because
right.
then there's
It
no
just goes
way
round and
to
round and round and round.
metabolize.
I see, okay.
We survive and we live, and we don't have cancer unless we do, because we can metabolize toxins.
Yes.
In this case,
Yes.
the person
Yes.
cannot metabolize toxins.
What sort of, I mean, is it possible to what's the word, to identify people with this genetic
Yes.
failure?
The enzyme cytochrome P450-2C9
Yeah.
is the one which metabolizes warfarin, coumadin, for example. So in United States, before the person is put on a blood thinner,
Yeah.
then this specific kit genotyping for this enzyme. So then the doctor knows, no, that person cannot take this.
What's the fraction of the population that you would consider that is at risk?
Hi. This is one of the major cytochromes P450. That's why, for example, the emergency treatment for people with overdose of warfarin, they are the most frequent visit in
I
United
see.
States.
Okay.
So you can extrapolate this to
Yeah,
caterers.
right, okay. But do you have a number?
Number,
Well, say a percentage. Like 1 in 10, or 1 in 5, or 1 in 20, or something.
you know, first of all, we have to start with the users, yes?
Yes.
How many of the
Okay.
users?
Yes, but let's say...
But as far as the users are concerned, in a very dramatic situation, will be 100% users, 25% of them.
As much as that, 1 in 4.
As much,
Yes,
like
yes.
K2.
Okay. Yeah.
4 people
Okay.
go,
Okay.
only 3 come back.
So very
From
so,
K2.
I mean, from what you say, this seems to be the political problem.
Exactly.
And the political problem is that a large number of of admissions to hospitals as a result of acute, apparently schizophrenic responses to smoking marijuana are not at all schizophrenic. They're not schizophrenia. They're not classical
No.
schizophrenia. They're a toxicological response to a substance which they can't metabolize because of a pre-existing genetic problem. Yes?
Yes, but also normal people, if they overdose,
Yeah.
they will have the same.
Okay. Okay.
Especially
Well, of course, it's just
children.
it's just
Yes,
a question
just
of
dose,
how
yes.
much. Yes, that's right.
Yes. So.
And so, is there any? Well, I mean, I've asked you this, haven't I? That is there any hope for these people? Well, the hope for them, is to find some kind of substance which will displace these
That's what we are
metabolites.
working on it.
Okay.
But the biggest hope and biggest thing which we promote is to collect all the information and make it public. And this is your newspapers.
I shall do something about this.
This is your newspapers' role to tell those dumb people, listen, it's not safe.
Yes.
You want to wake up tomorrow and be fine.
Yes.
You might be dead.
But you know, the problem with people like that is they don't believe it, or they don't understand it, or they don't care very often, because when you're young you think, hey, wow, I'm going to have a great time.